it's amazing to see it's amazing what people can eat with just gums. So in other words, it was like teeth are not.
You wrote that?
Oh yeah.
It's amazing what people can eat with just gums.
Yeah. And
I feel like that should be the episode title. Welcome back to another episode of the Tooth or Dare podcast, peeps, with your peep Irene. How are you? It's been a little while since I've recorded an on-video introduction, and I think I'm going to start doing a few more of them, giving you some updates on what's happening in my office. I've had a little bit of a hiatus over the last 14 days. I finally took a vacation, like a proper 2-week long vacation. I went to Spain and to Ireland. Started off in Barcelona for a few days, just kind of solo traveling, and then found my way to Ibiza, where I met up with some of my friends and celebrated one of my friends' 40th birthdays. And then from there, I did 4 days in Dublin. Again, like solo traveling through Dublin. That was really fun. I got to meet a lot of really cool people, and that was really exciting. So if you've been following along on my Instagram and my stories mostly, I shared a little bit about my travels. Fun fact that I learned: what does a pint of Guinness and a toothbrush have in common? The answer is that the perfect pint of Guinness needs to be held at a 45-degree angle to be poured perfectly. And also your toothbrush needs to be held at a 45-degree angle for the perfect brush. So there you go. I learned something about beer and connected it to dentistry, even though I was on vacation. This week's episode is kind of a 2-part series with a little bonus at the end, interviewing Dr. Jason Luchtefeld, who is the current president of the AADS, the Academy of Equilibration Dentistry or Equilibration Society. We spoke in Chicago very briefly about kind of his journey through dentistry, what led him to where he is, graduated from Chicago, has moved around as a dentist, and now living in Canada. So we talked about the conversion of his license and kind of what drove him to leave where he was working to become a dentist in Canada, and a variety of other kind of accolades. He talks about ICOI and implant dentistry, his history with being Dawson trained, and now his partnership with Inspiro as a strategic planner, and really works with dentists and dental team members to have them really fulfill their organizational dreams. And it's a lot of really interesting team building activities. So all of that information will be linked in the description below. I encourage you to reach out to him, or if you have any questions about building your team. And he's actually helped me quite a bit, just giving me some ideas for a team retreat that I held for my social media and kind of my planning team. We rented up this really cool little chalet and did a lot of really interesting activities that Jason recommended. So he's a really smart guy and very knowledgeable in how to really build good core teams and core values and have everyone feel like they're part of the growth of the business. So if you're looking for someone to help you dissect your practice and kind of put some different elements back in that might help you strive to greater success, then I encourage you to reach out to him. And then, of course, the bonus track at the end, which was a very impromptu addition to the interview, where Dr. Alan Mead, who you've heard on the podcast before, he's also a podcaster. I've been on his podcast, kind of just jumps on the mic. And the two of them have a really interesting history that I didn't know about. Both of them chat about how they feel about social media, which that was a very different opinion than what I had. They talk about some of the Facebook groups, and Jason was one of the moderators of the early days of Dentaltown. Dentaltown is one of the largest platforms and an OG in our industry. So he talks a little bit about that. So anyway, stick around for some fun conversations about how some patients eat without teeth, which I didn't know could happen. And until next time, peace out, peeps. This episode of the Tooth or Dare podcast is brought to you by our friends at Sonicare. Thank you for helping dental professionals elevate oral care with your partnership and dedication. Sonicare offers comprehensive oral care solutions catering to the entirety of our patients' needs. to achieve a healthier oral environment for your patients and provide them with a more radiant smile, Philips Sonicare provides an array of products designed to optimize their oral hygiene regimen. These offerings are meticulously crafted to ensure optimum efficiency, allowing clinicians to tailor their brushing experiences accordingly to their specific patient needs and requirements, whether it be teeth whitening, enhanced plaque removal, or overall gum health. Sonicare electric toothbrushes harness an impressive technology boasting 62,000 brush head movements per minute. This innovative approach gently pulses water between the teeth, effectively dislodging plaque and facilitating its removal. Backed by over a century of healthcare expertise, Philips Sonicare instills confidence in users, and it's consistently helping us clinicians get the results we desire. For more information about Philips Sonicare products, please visit the link in the caption below.
Welcome back to the Tooth podcast, part 2, talking about, I'm just going to call you Mr. President.
Okay.
You deserve a crown and a scepter, I think.
It's in the works.
Yeah. So tell me about your new gig. I mean, you just tell me everything. What is AES?
So it stands for the American Equilibration Society.
Okay.
So many of your listeners are now going to roll their eyes at the use of the word equilibration. That's
Why?
The normal reaction that we get anyway.
Okay.
It's just an old term that
When I think equilibration, I think you're getting an NTI. You got to wear it for 2 weeks, or a coisted programmer. You're going to wear this Holly looking device, and then you're going to come back and we're going to physically equilibrate your teeth, and all of your problems will be solved at the end.
That's right.
Yeah.
It cures cancer.
Yeah.
And
COVID.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interestingly, that is what everybody thinks. And
Right.
obviously that is a procedure that we can do for
Mhm.
people. And it has the same name. But supposedly the organization, when it was founded, equilibration meant the equilibrium that we try to attain between teeth, muscles, joints, bone, and the rest of the body.
Mm-hmm.
So if you believe that, then these people back in 1955 were incredibly forward thinking in that philosophy. And so that's a big reason why the name has not changed. That's been discussed multiple times to try to update the name for current word use.
Sure.
But we haven't. So it's still the AES and American Equilibration Society. And it is.
Sorry, you said it's been around since the 50s?
Yeah, 55.
Wow.
So it'd be the 70th scientific session is coming up in February of 2025.
Wow.
So that is exciting.
Yeah.
And it's old and established. And 10 years ago, you would have still said that about it if you were to walk in the room and see all the old white-haired dudes that made up the majority of the meeting. But now, over the last 6 to 8 years, it has changed dramatically. We've really brought attention to comprehensive care into the mix. It used to just really be focused on occlusion and TMD.
Mm-hmm.
But now there's sleep, there is posture, there is cervical spine stuff, there's airway centric things, and a lot of surgery, like joints being rebuilt, and just anything associated with the head neck complex is ripe for this meeting. And that's what the organization is focused on. A 2-day meeting. It's amazing. And this past meeting that we just finished, we had Coyce and Spear and
Back to
Leanne
back.
Brady. And
Yeah.
it was phenomenal. So the way the organization works, to get to the Mr. President thing.
Yeah. Where did that
is,
come from?
The organization has a board of directors.
Yeah.
So there are officers and then directors. And when you are active and volunteering for the organization, either as a committee member or a director, then there's an expectation that maybe at some point you will come on and be an officer.
Yeah.
And our structure is as a ladder. So you start out as secretary, and then you just move up the ladder each year. And so a few years ago, I was elected as secretary. And so now I've just progressed through the ladder where just this past Thursday, I was elected in, I guess you could say, as president.
That's so cool.
So as president, the cool thing is I get to pick the theme for the next year's meeting.
What's the next year's meeting theme?
the Better Dentist Project.
Wow. What does that mean to you?
So the AES has always been a place that I learn amazing things that I can use some of, but I can also be inspired by, to know that there are people out there that can do amazing things within dentistry, whether that's other dentists or surgeons or whatever. And so it's always been something that I felt has made me a better dentist through the years. And I wanted to reflect that in my program with a variety of speakers and topics that are meant to help to make the dentist better. And that's better ourselves. So we do have some people talking about how we can take better care of ourselves to still practice this thing we do for a long time, happy and comfortably.
Yeah.
And then also the dental side of stuff. Like, how do you do better rehab, or what do you do if things go wrong? We have a lecture that's talking about errors that happened and how to fix those things. So it's going to be, I think, a really fun program and exciting and a little different.
So to be a member of the AES, what does that look like? So annual membership, that obviously gets you to your annual meeting, but what does the rest of the 362 days of the year look like?
The big thing is access to our video archive of old lectures. So if you are really upset right now that you missed Coyce and Spear speaking back to back,
Kind of am.
then
Can I use your login? Can I get a one-time code, please?
That's right.
Is there a friends and family discount? Is there a podcast friends discount?
Keep an eye out for that.
Yeah. Show notes.
Members get access to that video archive. So lectures are recorded and then put onto our video archive. And so you get access to years worth of old lectures, some of which are just fantastic. For example, Pete Dawson gave his final lecture at an AES meeting a few years ago.
Really?
And it was an amazing lecture about time being the new currency. It was a really philosophical, deep, nice lecture. But that was there at the AES. So that's the big thing right now. We are just bringing in a new association management firm that is working with our membership committee to develop a whole new suite of options for members for throughout the year. So I don't have details on that yet, but that is in the works.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's really important, like trying to keep the community together. I mean, it's great when everyone shows up for the meeting at the annual event, but what are we doing throughout the year to kind of keep everyone excited?
Yeah.
That's always tough.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. And it's always here in Chicago every year, same time?
It's always been tied to this Wednesday and Thursday immediately prior to the midwinter meeting. So yes, it is always the same. It's always been at the Marriott Magnificent Mile.
Wow.
And it will be again next year. And
for the next 50 years.
That's right. Come back in 2075 and
see you then. Very cool. So what else can we talk about? What else? Actually, I have it. Let's do this. The question box.
Okay.
So you have to pick three
School
cards.
of Life. I have that same box, just a different cover.
Three cards.
Okay.
It's called the Tooth or Dare podcast for a reason.
Okay.
I'm not going to dare you to do anything because that just is not. But I think you need to pick.
I would prefer that, but that's okay.
Let's go. Card number 1. Show us your card.
If you had to live somewhere else, where would it be?
Oh, where would it be? Where would you live?
I would pick somewhere with mountains. So it would probably be either Italy or Spain.
Italy or Spain. Okay.
So either maybe even France. So it could be somewhere in there, probably somewhere in Europe that would have mountains. So I think that's the Dolomites or the Alps, I believe, are what would be there. And some like small community where I would drink wine, eat cheese, and enjoy the mountains.
Sounds cool. Okay. Card number 2.
You have any follow-ups on that? You're good?
No. This is not a follow-ups thing. This is just a you thing.
Okay. If we asked the childhood version of you what job they wanted to do, what would they say? Oh boy. Like the easy answer I gave earlier, like high school me, it was accounting. It was something math related. Younger than that, like I never wanted to be an astronaut. It probably would have been football player. Like I really liked football as a kid. I played all through quite young, like flag football and then pee-wee football with pads and then high school. And so it would probably be football player.
All right.
And we'll stick with
number
that.
3.
What have you done
Hold it closer.
Closer to you?
Yeah. What have you done in the past that you're still embarrassed about? I love that one. That's a good one.
Oh boy. Done in the past that I'm still embarrassed about. Okay.
I have a story. I have an answer for this one immediately in my mind.
You want to go first?
Well, I'm not. These aren't for me unless you want me to answer one. I
In
want to
high
hear my
school,
embarrassing stories.
you can do yours next.
Yeah.
In high school, I was the MC for a JV show.
What's a
You know what that
JV
is?
show?
Junior variety show.
Okay.
It's sort of like
like you do acting and skits.
yeah,
and
like
things.
Saturday Night Live
Yeah.
or Mad
The
TV.
choir will
like
do
one of those.
something.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it was one of those. And so I was an MC with 2 other friends. And so we had to go out like between acts and like do a little like skit while they were changing things out like behind the curtain.
Okay.
And so there's actually 2 stories here that are both kind of embarrassing. So one is me and a friend walked from opposite ends of the stage, and this was a boy. This would have been in like 1991.
Okay.
For those that need date reference.
Okay.
Walked out and we acted like we were just like walking on a sidewalk, and we bumped into each other, and then we started singing the Carpenters.
Do we have this on video?
No.
Yeah.
The Carpenters, Why Do Birds Always Appear Every Time You Are Near? Yeah, exactly. And we sang that to each other.
Nice.
And like took turns with
And you're
the
still
different
embarrassed
verses.
by it.
Yeah, so that was embarrassing. The other one was, it seemed like the energy was kind of low. And so me and another guy, it was another like song skit. It was the Chain Gang song. It was like an old Sam Cooke song.
So singing in public.
Singing, but for that one, I took my shirt off on stage.
No.
That was kind of like, now I think back on that and it's pretty embarrassing.
Got it.
But I was
Nice.
going for the attention.
Nice. Well, I'm going to end it with one of my own questions.
Please do.
That I ask everyone.
Okay.
What's one thing you wish you didn't know?
Oh my gosh. One thing I wish I did not know.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be about dental. Be about anything.
Oh man. I wish I didn't know how bad booze was for you. It'd be better to be ignorant of that and just enjoy it.
Okay.
How's that?
That's good.
Okay.
All right. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of the Tooth and Dirt podcast. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
May you reign with power and joy, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Peace out, babes. 3, 2, 1, action.
And action.
Alan Mead has just joined us for a little behind the curtain look at our guest.
Yeah.
Because you know each other.
Yeah. Jason
How do you know each other?
Jason was on Dentaltown before I was on Dentaltown. And Dentaltown was...
Wait, you were on Dentaltown?
Yeah.
How did I not know this?
I came on to Dentaltown 2002. It's a crazy story. Like I was about 5 months clean and sober at that point, and another sober person, you remember, brought me on. He's not really on it. Marshall, remember Marshall?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Marshall White.
Marshall asked me to come on, or didn't ask me to. Give me a break. I read something he had written, and it was like, wow, I love this, and I knew he was a recovering guy, and it was like, he said, you should try this place, and you know, what should you do to a guy who's 5 months out of treatment? Give him a new addiction. That's exactly what it was. And so I was totally all in. Well, so Jason was there before me, but I remember reading his post thinking he was sort of this young upstart punk. Now, mind you,
why was the post? Why was he a punk? What was the post?
Because he was younger than me.
He was just a punk by default of age.
So I graduated in 97. He graduated in 2000. He's not really a punk. We're both kind of old guys, what it comes down to. But at the time, he seemed young to me. But he had you could put your little signature on there. And his signature, I use this to this day. It's amazing to see it's amazing what people can eat with just gums. So in other words, it was like teeth
Wait,
are
you
not
wrote that?
Oh yeah,
It's
it was great.
amazing what people can eat with
just gums. Yeah, and
I feel like that should be the episode title.
Yeah, have you ever watched an edentulous person eat just like with no dentures?
No.
It is amazing what people can eat with just gums. It's
What inspired
And
that?
I got that from a patient that I saw. So I graduated in 2000 and then I did a residency at the VA hospital.
oh,
At the VA,
a lot of people with
I
just
had a
gums.
patient that came in. We consulted about dentures, made dentures, and he said, "I eat better without these things."
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, what do you eat? Like baby food?" "No, I had a steak last night."
Stop.
Yeah.
"How did you have a steak last night?" He's like, "Well, I just cut it and I eat it." And so that was probably 2000, 2001
Huh.
that would have happened. So that went right onto my signature line on Dentaltown.
It was, and I've probably used that 50 times in podcasts. It's the best line ever. It's amazing what people can eat with just gums.
Do you credit Jason at all?
Every time. Yeah. Because he was a young upstart punk that had a good line that I stole. It was good stuff. Dentaltown was nuts, man. Dentaltown was social media before social media was social media. Yeah. I remember
I was a punk back then.
Yeah. I mean,
Why were you a punk back then? What makes someone a punk?
He was kind of a wise guy, kind of he was a little silly. Every one of us had a little bit of troll in us.
Yeah.
Armin had the most troll.
Yeah.
For sure. That's where I got to know all these guys. I mean, like a lot of the people that are big in my social media spheres now came from that. The podcast essentially came from that. Remember, we had all those Dentaltown guys, the first roundtables that we did. We used to do 6 people on a roundtable. My God, it's like, and a bunch of them were my Dentaltown friends, like Frank and Brent and you and Standridge. And actually, I think I met Standridge at a Cosmonet course, but most of them were Dentaltown. There were people that were Dentaltown people that I didn't even know were Dentaltown people because I didn't know their name.
Fake
I only
names.
knew their fake
That's
names.
right.
Exactly. So you'd go to the Dentaltown meeting.
Fake names?
Oh,
like
yeah.
They would post things.
I never
name?
put my name. I still don't have my name on my hand. It's Hudley.
Right.
Hudley. And it's, for whatever reason, it's not capital H. And I kept it that way. I don't even know why. I know where the name came from, but Dentaltown was bulletin boards are a thing, man. They were anyhow. That was a big deal for me.
So mine was really creative.
Yeah.
I was Jason L.
Jason L.
on Dentaltown. But you would go those first 5 years or so, you go to a Dentaltown meeting and you would not recognize the person.
They had to have
by
tag.
their real name.
Yeah.
You had to have your Dentaltown tag name
on
on
you
your
go, oh my God,
thing.
you're Gumslinger, or whatever. It's like,
Gumslinger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Who was Gumslinger?
He's a periodontalist. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. I've actually texted with him. I forget his name.
So that's like,
He's just
it's like
Gumslinger. That's his name.
Instagram.
A little.
Walking around here, no one knows my last name. They're like, oh, you're Toothlife.Irene.
Yeah.
You're Alan Mead.
Yeah. Mine says Very Dental Podcast.
Is Very Dental Podcast.
Yeah, I know.
That's interesting.
It is. Dentaltown was
where did Dentaltown start? Does anyone know the history
of?
I
mean, Howard.
Howard
Friend
yes,
started,
but
it was a magazine first, wasn't it?
Yeah. He started with a newsletter.
Yeah.
And then that turned into, I think Dentaltown came before Dentaltown magazine.
Okay. You think
99.
the bulletin boards came from? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think 99 was when he started the
bulletin
website.
board. Yeah.
99.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's when I joined.
Yeah.
Was as a senior in dental school.
Oh, wow.
And so I was on there. Like that shaped my first 10 years in practice because
100%.
I was super active as a student. Really the only student that was active and vocal.
Yeah.
And really outspoken. And I had people, Howard Frazer sent me his book, his 30-day MBA book.
Yeah.
Because here, oh, you're a student, you're active on my website. Here, have my book.
Yeah.
Howard, I was living in Colorado. He had a place in Breckenridge. So when him and his previous wife, Judith, would come to Colorado, he'd call. We'd go to lunch.
Yeah.
Like it was awesome back in those days. Remember Howie Horrocks had his guerrilla marketing books?
Yeah.
They were like this thick.
Yeah.
And it had crazy ideas like, when you're new to a neighborhood, go door to door and introduce yourself and give them a business card.
Yeah.
I did that stuff.
Yeah.
And followed this guerrilla marketing book with all kinds of ideas when I started my practice.
Howie and who's the core?
Mark Dilatush?
Core whitening
Rod
guy.
Kurthy.
Rod Kurthy was like the he was like the face of Dentaltown
I just
for
want
a
to
while.
sit back and like
Rod was.
observe
I'm
you.
sorry.
You guys are so cute right now. You're just like,
derailed
how long has
everything.
it been since you've seen each other?
Oh, I mean, we text a fair amount. It's been a while since we've seen each other, but Dentaltown stuff is like.
This is the best part about live podcasting.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I will not do anything remote
It would
anymore
be-
because of this.
No,
It's just like
you have to do remote because you got to get content. But this is a
we
better way to
don't.
do
You
it.
just
go to meetings.
Screw up for 3 months and don't post an episode like me.
Yeah. I can't do that.
Fans ask,
I can't.
"Are
I
you
can't sleep.
okay?"
Yeah, I can't sleep well at night without doing. That's the other
But
thing.
this is okay.
So Rod started core whitening, and that's still his thing right now. But I remember Rod was like a bigger than life.
core whitening that's now or purchased by SDI.
Yes, purchased by. Is that who's doing it? Is that the? We have a Josh Austin sighting. But
Right
we
there.
can't hear him because
Oh my God.
because there's clear windows.
He doesn't know how to get in. He needs to jump over.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't even know he was coming.
I didn't either.
I've never met him in person.
What?
I'm gonna get his autograph.
Stop. Okay, pause for an Austin sighting.
Yeah.
We paused for a Josh Austin sighting.
Well worth it.
Yeah,
I didn't know he was coming. Did you guys know he was coming?
I didn't know he's coming. Anyone who wants to know, he says to burn in hell. So that's good.
Yeah, basically every human on the planet.
Yeah.
Especially those on Instagram that don't like his clinical cases.
Like literally, he wrote an article for the Dental Hacks website like 6 years ago about Instagram dentistry, and he still wants everyone to burn in hell. So apparently, that's a soft spot
I
for him.
think that's
It is me too, though.
core,
To be honest,
it's a core value for him at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anger at
He's
Instagram.
doing well. If that's a core value, he's upheld that core value.
He's kept his focus tight.
Yeah.
I think everyone that's listening right now should pause, and go like his most recent story.
Please do.
You know what? I'm actually just going to post one in the copy, and please go to that and leave like a random knife emoji in the comments.
Yeah.
The most like a shrimp or just like a random emoji.
Or you can tell him to get. You can do that too.
That's
that would be
or so
good.
your cases suck.
Yeah. Because I mean, like
this is the worst dentistry I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Stop doing teeth.
It is. Instagram is poison, self-administered poison. Let's be perfectly honest. It says. I mean, we're all on it. I don't know that Jason's on it too, but he's mostly running. Oh, are you on? Is that Facebook? Mostly athletic feats of athleticism.
That's right.
Yeah.
You post a lot of like mountain stuff.
Yes.
I need to coach you. I need to coach you on when something should go in your feed versus when something should go in a story.
Yes.
There's a fine line between is it feed worthy?
Okay, so the question is this.
Or is it story worthy? And there's
Jason
a
and myself are too old to understand this. Nor actually, I'll put it out there, care, actually.
I think it's the care. I don't think the age has anything to do with it.
Okay, it's the care. I can live with
For me, it's totally random.
Yeah.
Like I'll have something and I'll think, oh, should I post this? Where should I post this? And I'll say, oh, I haven't done a story in a couple months. Let's make this one a story. And so I'll do a story.
I mean,
so there's a strategy. There's a thought process around stories, and there's a testing that you do. So if you post something to your story and you see that it gets a lot of engagement, then it means that is worthy of it being in your feed.
So does that mean that Bikini Rubik's Cube made the feed, or was that just a story?
It's called Aqua Aerobics.
It was well tested.
I suspect. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah,
you got a lot of interaction on that post. I'm thinking, was that a story or was that a post? I can't remember.
So it's funny. Ben Johnston, formerly on this podcast too, he's PNW OMS. In the middle of the video, he's like, "I didn't even watch you to the end, but did you do the cube?" Like that was the response. I don't know. I think I post my personal.
You had a
stuff.
cube. That's the right answer, by the way.
There was a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. You had a cube. What?
So I don't post personal stuff in my feed at all.
Oh,
I mean,
interesting.
just some stuff, like if I'll do a travel thing, but
yeah, I've noticed.
I don't post my family, and I don't post like
you,
personal relationships, and I don't post.
So that just goes in stories because it only lasts like 24 hours?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And if I want it to live in perpetuity somewhere, then I'll save it to a highlight. But most of the time, the people that view my stories are people that
that's how you do it.
Actually,
save it to a highlight. I don't know. I don't have any highlights.
People
if
that
I have
view my stories
it was by accident, actually. Yeah.
People that I usually engage with or are creepers.
Yeah.
One or the other. There's a lot of Finstas now, fake Instagram accounts. And I can tell a fake Instagram account from a mile away. So I can tell if it's like somebody that's viewing my stuff under an alias. And then I just block them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's great.
Mental note.
Yeah.
Alter alias.
Yeah. I know Jason and I
Finsta.
tonight we're going home and we're going to figure out who the aliases are that are following us.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like a whole new world. I have 2 fake Instagram accounts that I creep from.
Yeah. You obviously creep a lot of my stuff. That's
everything. I zoom in. I want to know what's on the counter.
Yeah, you want to see that gigantic helmet.
Yeah.
That's what you
the
want to
gigantic helmet.
She doesn't like my mountain biking helmet.
All
I
right.
like it because it protects my head. Imagine that.
Right.
Did you get stood up?
I think I did.
Yeah.
Well,
How does that feel?
it's deep.
Who would do that to you?
I don't even know.
Who
I don't
is this
remember what-
person? Let's get her.
Well, she was here a minute ago. Her name was
Oh.
Heather. But Melkers could come back anytime now too.
Yeah.
Because I could record with him. He was here. I want to.
All right. Well,
I'm sorry. This is just stimulating stuff.
this
me
is
talking about
stimulating.
being-
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for the interlude here.
Okay. I'm
Dr.
leaving now.
Almeid.
I'm leaving now.
He's going to leave us.
Okay. Bye.
And
Be good, Jason. Do good work here. Okay.
I'll do my best.
All right. Good.
My
Excellent.
best Alan Mead
Bye, Alan.
impression.
breaking
God.
the headphones. Good thing they're not even mine.